What's going on, folks? Once again, I'm Nev from Nev's Tech Bits, otherwise known as your friendly neighborhood basement dweller. Don't worry, ma'am, I am from the internet. Today we're checking out Popular Mechanics 1988 April. Once again, they got a new plane on the cover that you can build yourself. I wouldn't dare. Man, I'd go down in flames if I tried to build something like that. I'm sure someone out there could do it. Not me, not today, Galvatron. No, thank you, no, sir. But to those who can, go for it. Marlboro Light. So light, we don't need the Marlboro Man to advertise this one. So, of course, what we like to do here is we like to take a look back and see how technology and society has changed. Now, here's one big one we could look up. Man, remember back in the day when we got lost and we couldn't figure out where we were? We had to bust the road map out and then we got into a fight about where we were exactly. Oh man, I remember my ex's family having a big fight, being like, the road is supposed to be right here. And one of them they pulled over, got out of the car, walked into a field and said, the road is supposed to be right here. Oh man. Some of the memories we bury, right? Now, here we have an advertisement for the Ford pickups. I always like to get the advertisements because I've been asked to. And it's interesting. Here we have the little flip out part where you got your cup holders, and the 80s seems to be when the cup holders became a big thing. You couldn't put your big gulp in there for a little while yet, though, but still. The long car station wagon replaced with the SUVs because, of course, you could save, or the companies made more money by selling SUVs, and everybody felt safer by being up and off of the ground. I wonder when fear of a car accident became such a big deal. Because I don't think anyone ever got an SUV and they were like, oh, I feel dangerous in this. I wish I was higher up off the ground or something. But I gotta say, the death warrant was sealed as soon as they got rid of the fake wood panel on the side, Bobby. And in the time machine, what we like to do is take a look back. Cash incentives, the breakthrough of the early 20th century, dropped sudden fortunes onto the laps of investors. In April 1913, PM presented a roundup of cash prizes offered to feats of technological creativity. And the technological creativity just hasn't even stopped yet. The Sea Monsters from 50 years ago. Popular Mechanics gave its readers a sneak peek at America's first new battleships. Man, I gotta say, when it comes to mechanics, American battleships, American Army, wow, just wow, the kind of stuff that they come out with. And 25 years ago, a tandem bike and a hot air balloon. You get hot air balloons around here and there these days, but not quite like we used to. Holy Christ, check that out. A defibrillator that's just rocking out right inside of your body. I never heard of that. I remember pacemakers being a big thing, and I almost wonder if this is basically a pacemaker under a different name. Something that records, didn't even send information back. I remember my glorified grandma, at a babysitter. It was so awesome, called her grandma, right? Anyways, she had something like this, and I remember hearing it could send information back to base. I love these advertisements that have so much art and so much going on all over the place. I'm just gonna hang here for a sec so you can see it. But that cat in the tree looks like he's seen some shit. Looks like he's tripping balls after eating a toxic toad or something. We're all mad here, Alice. And here we can see an old school type of lawnmower. Why would anyone want to do drugs when they could just mow the lawn? Snapper. They definitely don't make that anymore. It's interesting. At like 1910, there were about 80 different car manufacturers in America. And these days, there's what, three, five? And it almost seems like the same when it comes to lawnmowers in the 80s. So many lawnmowers I've never heard of. And RVs in the 70s. So many RV names I've never heard of. And these days, it seems to be just two or three. We call that the Pareto distribution. And Pareto distribution basically says the few will have the most, basically. Supercomputing advances, that supercomputer is nothing compared to what we got these days. One really interesting thing is we can't make CPUs as small. We can't make CPUs any smaller because if we make transistors any smaller, then we can't have them work with electricity in a predictable way at a subatomic level, like at such a small level, electricity, we can't predict it and we can't use it. So our CPU dies have had to become bigger and bigger and bigger. The Novell telescope. Geez, never seen one that they had to put in a unit quite like that. Telescope housing gives clear view while blocking winds. Oh, I believe it. Have you guys ever tried to take a shot or see something miles and miles away? If you got something on a tripod and the wind just blows your filament just a little bit back and forth, makes it look like there's an earthquake and gives you motion sickness. Yeah, yeah. High tech help for the handicap. Man, some of the handicap get some of the coolest machines, I swear, and they deserve it because, geez, it's interesting how if you just lose a few muscles, if you get a pinched nerve, how unbelievably difficult your life gets. You just lose your thumb, and man, life can get really interesting. You lose your hands, life gets really interesting. So, yeah, let's hook these guys up with some space age stuff, I say. The Ford Mercury Topaz. That's interesting. These days, nobody likes the name Mercury. You hear the name Mercury, and you generally think of things you don't want in your fish or things you don't want in your food. Did you guys know that there is legitimately mercury in coal? That is freaking crazy. So I wonder if there's other places you can get mercury from because of course mercury is used in manufacturing and this that and the other way. Couldn't tell you off the top of my head how or why. But the interesting thing about coal is that it is not a reusable thing. There was a time when trees were new and when they fell over, bacteria didn't get to them. They didn't rot. They just sat there and then eventually, sorry, I'm panning off, and then eventually sediment would lay on top of it and crush it down into coal. Wait, coal makes diamonds, right? Does that mean diamonds aren't renewable? No, we can make diamonds. Sorry, I'm going off. The Club Cadet Ground Control. Another one I've never heard of. I feel like little universes I've never heard about with all of these different lawnmowers. I wonder how difficult it would be to get parts for something like this. Wonder if there'd be anything aftermarket that was any good. Anyways, now that we're talking about diamonds, oh wait, that's Detroit. I don't like imports very much. I don't really like when Detroit tries to make things that look like imports, but hey, there you go. There you go. So get this, diamonds aren't particularly super unbelievably rare. They're only basically kind of rare or uncommon. And the DeVries diamond monopoly has made it so the prices are all through the frickin' roof. It's a global frickin' monopoly. I can't get over it, except for Canada. They didn't seem to want to get too involved in it, but we still have it pretty expensive over here. Oh, good old chainsaw. Good old motor powered chainsaw, man. You could scare away any demon in the night with something like that. The Toyota 4x4, legit unit from the 80s. I want one of those so bad. The trucks they make these days are nice, but there's just something about a 4x4 from the 80s that has that roll bar, a nice little stencil, or not stencil, but decals on the side. I just don't feel like the stuff we have kind of matches the magic that we used to have back then. TV VCR combo used to be a really big deal. If you watch the first Fast and the Furious, you're going to find that one of the hot items that they were trying to lift and move was a 13-inch TV VCR unit, just to give you an idea how fast technology has gone in such a short amount of time. Now, with cars, it's particularly interesting to me. My dad used to work at a shop, and he doesn't work at a shop these days, and he prefers older cars from the 80s, because he knows how to deal with those. But the new stuff he has to take out to his other friends because they've changed so much, and that's a little bit heartbreaking. As a computer guy, I haven't run into that. You got your IBM PS2 compatible, and then you got your x86s, and then you got your cell phones, basically. Thank God for Ford and standardized parts. It measures, it calculates, it computes. Yeah, Louis Rossmann tried to get a new shop in New York, and he brought one of these things in because the realtors were being flat out illegal and saying, "Oh, this is 1,000 square feet, for example," and then he'd break one of these things out, and it turns out it was only like 750. Here we have an interesting piece on torque management. I gotta say, the first hybrid car that was electric and gas was really cool because it would actually use the energy from the brakes to charge the batteries. That is so cool. That is so cool. I had a friend who was a pastor's son that managed to trade in two cars per two cars basically, and everyone thought that was crazy. Now that's the part about being in church and being a pastor's son that can definitely help. When you go to church, you get the networking thing working for you. Limos at the limit. Okay. Limos used to be a bigger thing than they are now. You still get people in limos, but still. I'm never comfortable with having like a Jeeves, or I'm not even comfortable ringing a bell to make someone come to the counter unless I have to wait too long. It just seems dehumanizing, but maybe I'm a little too backwoods to really get it. The super clones. Zenith. I got some Zenith on here. I particularly love the Zenith. Zenith. We got the old signage from the old Zenith shop that we had in town a long time ago. Now, they say clones because everyone was cloning the IBM, IBM compatible, right? I don't think IBM should have had the market cornered. Believe it or not, there was a time when the PC itself was under copyright protection. And if you wanted to get a PC, you had to pay extra money for it just for the copyright rights. The same way that if you go out and you buy an HDMI cord, a certain percentage of the money that you spend is going to be spent on that copyright fee. That's why you can get something called a display cable that Lenovo and other manufacturers are pushing, because the copyright fee isn't a part of that. Anyways, it turned out that the guy that copywrote it wasn't the actual person that came up with the idea of a PC. And after a fight, the original creator took away the copyright, proved that he owned it, and all computers became remarkably cheaper. Remarkably cheaper. And then profit. He didn't profit, but the world profited, which is lovely. Ever ready hardcore batteries. Love the battery advertisements. Super heavy duty, not just regular heavy duty, definitely not alkaline, but super heavy duty. If you have nerve deafness, hearing aids can make you hear again clearly. You can't have the best of everything, but you can have the best of something. You can keep up with the Jones. Yes, that makes your life happier. The Dodge Ram 100. Big old red truck. Big old puppy dog. Inbred as heck, those Dalmatians, but hey, they look good. The standard equipment on Laser 128 is optional on most computers. I think I've taken one of those apart before when I was much younger. Tesla coils, that's what I'm talking about. Love that Tesla stuff. It's interesting, even how long after Tesla passed away, how many of his things we're still uncovering and finding new uses for. All right, folks, that's it from me. Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. My kids asking about peanut butter sandwiches. 1988. I better get out there and make sure they have the right nutrients. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Take care of each other, will you?